What's
Hey,
up?
what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. It's been freaking 5, 6 years now. We've been on
Yeah.
this train. It's crazy how time flies, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember when I was a freshman, I got my first athlete of the week from you guys.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. We're
Yeah.
gonna dig all into that. I'm just do a quick sound check. I switched to these AirPods just because it was a little challenging last time. But can you hear me? Okay?
Yeah, I got AirPods in too. That
Oh,
I
you
put them in. Yeah.
okay? All right. Great minds think alike. That's what's up.
Yes,
Good
sir.
stuff. All right, let's go ahead and we're gonna get this party started here. Let's see. So that little Boosie. so let me go ahead and do the welcome or whatever, and we'll get ready to get everything started. Hey everyone, good afternoon. My name is Coach Mike with Game Changers. I want to welcome everyone to our Instagram live series. This is a great way for us as an organization to be able to keep in contact with some of the athletes that have gone through or been recognized for Game Changers platform over the past 5 years. And then in between that, we're also going to be recognizing some coaches, some people that are outside but used to be athletes at one time or another. Anyway, I'm here with Ty Clark, and let's go ahead and just welcome him to the platform on today. Ty, I appreciate you being here with us. Thank you so very much. It's been a crazy journey, and I can't wait to kind of dive in and hear more of your side. You know what's been going on these past few years. But let me start off with this. So what I did is I asked whoever I get ready to ask on, to interview. I said, yo, so what's some music you listening to or whatever, this or the other. So Ty hits me back and said, yo, listen, whatever. I listen to it all. Just stays in rotation or whatever. And then I was like, all right, well, what song do you listen to, or whatever, for your workout? And so when he said Lil Boosie, so I'm up here putting Lil Boosie, I'm like, let me go ahead and try to push.
Yeah.
And then I said, all right, let me go ahead to the clean version. So when I did the clean version, like every other word of what I played was skipped. I said, wait, is my reception shot or what? But what it was is that it's just that filthy.
Yeah. I figured once you asked, I was like, that's not very family friendly.
Right. Look, no shame. We all got our songs that kind of put us in a certain mindset and mood and go time and all that other good stuff. But so what I ended up doing is I just downloaded the instrumental. I said, okay, I'm doing the instrumental. I'm gonna be safe with the instrumental. So anyway, again, thanks, Ty. Appreciate you taking out some time be with us. Again, as I said, Ty was someone we recognized in the organization close to around 5 years ago, or maybe around that time. But he was a freshman, and one of our interns, they recognized Ty just because of all the amazing things that he was doing when it came to his athleticism. But as anyone knows, with Game Changers, it's not just about what you do on the field, in the pool, on a golf course, on a court, whatever. It's about what makes you well balanced. So we look at, of course, your academics, you being a leader outside of the sports, being able to give back to service and all that other good stuff. So anyway, again, welcome again, Ty. So give us your intro as far as in, who you are, what's your major now, where you from, and all that good stuff.
Well, obviously, my name's Ty Clark. I went to Crestline most of my life. And I played football, baseball, and basketball there. And then I moved on to when I graduated, I went to Louisiana because I went to a prep school there, and it gave me kind of extra year of eligibility. So
Mm.
now I'm currently at Ashland, but down in Louisiana, Coach Hutch and Coach Black, they took me in and took care of me and then set me on the right path. And now I have an extra year of eligibility, kind of like reclassifying. And I got
Oh,
more
okay.
scholarship money this way. So.
Oh, good stuff, man. That's good to hear. So let's dig in with the beginning part. The beginning part in regards to where you are or where you were with as far as being a high school athlete. Like you mentioned at the time, you were crushing it in three sports. You're a tri-sport athlete: basketball, baseball, as well as football, and got recognition in a lot of those. But of course, we'll go ahead and kind of pull on football a little bit, just because that was like your gateway to kind of get out of high school in the Ohio area in the transition. But let's talk about high school. What was it about you that said that you wanted to actually take on that responsibility? You know what I mean, in regards to being a tri-sport athlete, because it's already challenging to execute and be great at one, let alone two and three. It's almost like a mindset that you really got to lock in. But what was that for you? Why did you decide to go into sports? And then at that, why did you decide to do so many sports?
Well, growing up, I played all three sports. My parents, they
Okay.
pushed me in a good way to play all three. And then when I got up to high school, the football coaches would want you to focus more on football, basketball more on basketball, just reasonable
Sure.
stuff.
Sure.
But everyone else was. We're a small school, so quite a bit of people were two-sport athletes, three-sport athletes, and so on.
Okay.
Well,
Good.
that's just a thing we did at our school, and then I
Okay.
just so happened to be blessed to be good at all three of them, and I had some really good teammates that helped me out, and it was just from one sport to the next. There's really no break in between. So I knew that I didn't want to break anyway. Like sports mean a lot to me.
Sure, sure. So even with that, like you said, you were competing, almost year round, because as soon as you get finished with one, it's almost time to transition right into the other, right? And then even in the summertime, it's almost even by like late spring, in theory, like especially here in Ohio, they'd be ready to gear up in lifting weights and things like that for football season and whatever. How were you able to also make sure that you stayed on top of your grades? Because that was, I'm sure, another big thing with your parents, making sure that academically you performed as well.
Yes, my parents, they were very strict on the grades. I was always scared if I got a bad grade on something. They were real strict about it. But my
Okay.
school, my teachers, they helped out quite a bit and they understood. And just something that I just grew up, my parents were strict on grades, so it didn't really change in high school.
Got you. So you already having that foundation in high school, being on top of your grades, being really focused when it comes to the sports. It more so just kind of played its own part out when you got ready to matriculate in regards to college and stuff like that. Already, like you already had a solid foundation. It was more
Yes,
so just
sir.
transitioning into that. Okay. All right. Good stuff. What would you say were some of the biggest challenges you had as far as in being an athlete at the high school level?
I'd have to say the summer was more of a challenge because it was all three sports always had something going on. So you
Hmm.
kind of had to pick. We didn't. It was like picking between one, but like you had to map it out to where this is more important to go to this basketball this day, but then go to football this day. And of
Mm,
course, like
mm.
you said, late spring's mainly for football, but we have a spring baseball team, and then we got
Right.
our basketball shootouts. So it was just kind of picking and choosing. I didn't get as much time as I wanted to focus on weightlifting and whatnot until my senior year. My offensive coordinator, Hastings Robinette, he really
Mm.
pushed me in the weight room and to be a leader in the weight room. And so my senior year is probably the first time I actually hit the weights consistently hard all year long. But other
Okay.
than that, the biggest challenge was just training because you never had time to focus on one sport. It was always you went straight from football to basketball, and then once basketball started, you didn't lift like you would for football or train like you would in the winter, like most football teams would, kids who only play football or kids who only play baseball
Mm.
type of deals like
Mm.
that.
Okay. And so you mentioned in regards to, your coaches and different things like that. Just so happened, I'm wearing my Don't Quit shirt, which was inspired by my high school football coach, Coach Anarella, who passed away last year. But I say all that to say that, people don't realize uh, how blessed we are to have really good coaches to really pour into us and help us develop, especially as men, and we're kind of, figuring out who we are as men and growing into our manhood. How was that for you? Even, having, whether people have one parent or two parent households, there's still a level of influence that our coaches have on our lives. How has your relationship been with your coach, perhaps from high school to even where you are now that you're, in college and things of that nature?
Well, in high school, I was fortunate enough in football for it was the first time in probably 10 years that we had the same coaching staff, like the same head coach and everything for
Mm,
all 4 years. So I
okay.
was blessed with that. So I was familiar with the offense. And like I said, my freshman year I played tight end, and sophomore year I played tight end. And I was a backup quarterback freshman year just in case something happened. And then
Sure.
sophomore year I focused more on tight end, less on quarterback. And then halfway through the season, Hastings called me and he was like, "Hey," we met up and he gave me a quarterback ban. He said, "You start learning the plays again." So then
Mm.
junior year and senior year, he really helped me out. We were real close. He was teaching me quarterback stuff, how to read a defense and whatnot, stuff like that. So I was very fortunate for him and Coach Feeman as well. Coach Feeman's the one who he set me up with CMP Prep Academy in Louisiana. So
Okay.
without him, I really wouldn't be where I'm at either.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Before we get ready to kind of leave the whole high school experience, another great thing that we recognized you for was even in regards to your service, and you being involved. And I believe, it was something with like even flag football and then something with fast pitch where you would, volunteer your time back. And then it was a certain thing, Labor of Love project, I believe it was at St. Joseph Church. So you were always involved. What was the reason for you to, because, already we could see your plate was full, sports year round, you know what I mean? Academics, making sure that you stayed on top of that. But what made you stay on top of everything else that you had going on, that you wanted to give back and, give back to your community?
Well, like I said, I love sports and I'm very passionate for it. So I liked helping the younger ones with sports. And then the high school coaches, they would do a good job of having these little basketball camps for the little kids. And me and all the players, we'd help out there and we'd help out with the football players. We help out coaching flag football. My dad, he pretty much ran the flag football league, and we're actually we were trying to get the little league back in town this year is what we're working
Mm-hmm.
on. But with the whole virus going on, it's a little harder. But yeah, we used to have a pretty dominant little league, and then we didn't have one at all. Didn't have a single team last year that played in Crestline. So that's what we're working on
Mm-hmm.
now. It's just I like giving back for sports. I like to teach young ones sports because you can learn life lessons and you could get your college paid for eventually with it. I know at a young age it
Yeah.
sounds crazy to tell them that, but you never know. And the labor of love. I used to go to a private school in Crestline called St. Joe's, but we always did
Mm.
sports mostly with Crestline, and they do a
Okay.
labor of love. They still do it, and it's ran very well. And Mr. Savati, he's the principal there. He runs it. He runs a pretty tight ship there. So anytime he needs help with
Awesome.
something, we'd always go help.
Yeah, I believe it's great. I believe it's great. Time and time again, I always say that, especially with colleges, like, and this is not to not give credos to those that are getting, the 3.5, 4.0 GPA, but even in certain schools, because of how the credits are being averaged in with college credits, some people are graduating with like 4.2, 4.5 GPAs and so on and so forth. But all that aside, I believe what also goes into an admissions officer's recruiting is saying that, let's see how they act off the field, you know what I mean, and giving back. So, kudos to you for giving back and making time, to give back. And you never know what thing that you said, what drill that you helped or whatever, or, some kid just kind of waiting in the wing and just being able to identify and say, man, I remember when, Ty had came in and did that, and that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to applaud, you making the time to excel on the field, but then in a classroom, then on top of that, to give back in service. So all the way around, great job, 100%.
Thank
So
you, sir.
absolutely. So let's talk about, when it came time for, your senior year and you had, laid everything out. I mean, at a time you were all conference, and this was back in your freshman year, you know what I mean, when you were getting this notoriety. But what was your mindset when you said, okay, this is what I want to do when it comes to college, as far as in, playing a sport at that collegiate level and knowing that it takes another level of discipline, so to say. So, what was that process like when you started looking at colleges, and what made you decide where you wanted to go and so on?
Well, at the end of freshman year, me and one of my good friends, Devon Triplett, we both got invited to a national college coaches combine, and it was
Okay.
in Cincinnati, Ohio. And we went to it, and from then on out, I knew that I wanted to play college sports. At the time, I was crazy. I thought I was going to play all three sports and go D1, this and that. And then as I got older, I realized, it's three sports is crazy.
Right.
But after that, I just started going to these prospect football camps, and then I started getting noticed there, and I started talking to coaches. At the time, I was about 6'2", 160 pounds. So I looked like Gumby. I was real skinny.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
they liked my height though.
Yeah.
And then I just as I went on each year, I'd go to more and more camps. And then it was about end of sophomore year. I had a coach at Baldwin Wallace. He really liked me, and he really made me feel welcomed. And he made me footballs. I knew that football was going to be a sport that I wanted to pursue and play.
Hmm.
And then as it went on, I didn't have as many offers coming in as I'd hoped. So I was thinking about going to a junior college, Heartland Community College in Illinois, to play
Mm-hmm.
baseball.
Hmm.
And then senior year, Coach Hutch got a hold of me, and then he basically told me, "Hey, like we want you." He offered me right away. He set me up nice to come down there, and then at that point, I went for it. I knew what to do. But it was crazy because I remember just being at practice and my coach telling me like, "Hey, would you go down to go play in Louisiana?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll go play." And then thinking that that wouldn't happen. I didn't think it was actually gonna happen.
Mm.
And then when I took my pads off for the last time, I thought for sure when I took that quarterback band off that I was it for football. And then I didn't
Mm.
think I'd play quarterback at the next level either. And then the coaches got me right, tuned me up, and here I am.
Gotcha. So even with that process, talking about, leaving Ohio, and then I want to say I had scrolled through like your IG and you had something on there that said Daytona. Was it? Were you
Uh,
somewhere?
yes, sir. That was it was a offense defense All American game down in
Okay.
Florida and at Daytona Beach. They had like a whole series there they had it for younger kids and they had high school showcases and whatnot. So I was blessed and fortunate enough to go down there and it was kind of last minute. So I gotta thank my parents for throwing everything together, getting ready to go. And we left the day of Christmas so it was it was a little rush,
Yeah.
but it was well worth it. It was nice down there. They hook you up with a bunch of gear. They treat you nice, and they
Yeah.
make you feel special down there.
That's awesome. When I saw Daytona, so for me, I did my undergrad at Bethune-Cookman down in Daytona Beach,
That's where
Florida.
that's where we played at their stadium.
Oh, exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
And I
yes,
thought it
sir.
was that in the background. So when I saw
Yes,
Daytona, I was like, oh, you're in my
yeah,
backyard.
yes, sir.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you were able to get some of that Florida sunshine being up here in Ohio with 6 months of winter like we do. It's
Yeah,
always good to get away, and especially in December. So I'm
yes,
glad it
sir.
worked out for you. That's awesome. So when you transition to Louisiana, let's even talk about that a little bit more. Only because, when people, and let me be specific, there's so much information that is on, your cell phone, as far as in even your generation, and a lot of times you think like, oh, okay, this is, it's one thing to look at what Louisiana or Daytona would be on the phone. It's another thing to actually be in the city and to kind of go out there. So for you, what made you want to kind of leave your comfort zone of Ohio, where all your family is and whatever, just to try something new, for the first time?
Well, I knew that if I stuck around and stayed home and whatnot, I don't think I would have stuck it out. Like I feel like I'm a whole different person from going down there. Had I not got out of my comfort zone, I wouldn't have got to experience that. I probably would have just, been a hometown boy who just never left home. It's
Mm,
one of those
mm.
high school heroes gone wrong, and
Yeah.
it was definitely a change when I went down there. But I knew I had to do it, and I uh had some people I looked up to that recommended me to get out of town. They said get out of Dodge is what they called it, but so I got
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
and yeah, actually, I got this coach. He was my basketball coach for 3 years, and then senior year we had some problems, so we were unfortunate and lost our two coaches. But Coach Law and Coach Massa both played a good part in my recruiting too. And Coach Massa is like a second father to me. He took me under his wing from day one, and
Hmm.
because of him, I'm where I am today too. So I want to thank him for that. But anyway, I just knew I had to get out of my comfort zone and go try something new.
Gotcha. Wonderful. So how did you like Louisiana as far as in, the culture being somewhere completely different? What about your support system? How did you even deal with if you got homesick at all?
I didn't really get homesick that much. I
Mm,
remember my first week I went down there. It was very humid out, and
mm,
it was rough. I was like the second day I was there, I was throwing up. I was sick. I was like, man, what am I doing? Like, and my
mm.
parents were still there at the time.
Okay.
And then I was still sick, and then they were like, "Well, we can't leave you like this." I was like, "No, I'll be fine. I'll be fine." And then
Mm,
I stuck it out. In the first week, it was rough. It wasn't a homesick. It was more like I was getting used to the humidity and stuff. And I
mm,
remember
mm,
I was talking to the coach the night before. Like we had this workout with about six guys. Coach Hutch
mm,
called us to come work out in the morning, And we had Cane's Chicken like right down the road from our apartment complex. So we went out there about 2 in the morning, first night. We were having fun. It was all of our first times in college. But we
Mm,
ate that next morning. We wake up. It's time to work out. I was puking everywhere after my
mm,
first college workout. I was dying. It was rough. But
yeah.
it was after about the first 2 weeks, I just fell in love with it. The food, the culture, the people, everything around it. Just I miss it. I'll eventually migrate back down there, but it was definitely well worth it. It was, I mean, the food alone was just amazing. I went from about 190 to 235, and then
You
yeah,
you was eating good.
yeah. I mean, I didn't think
God.
I ate crawfish. I didn't think I liked crawfish. It was good, and just anything that had Cajun on it was just to die
Yeah.
for. So yeah, and it wasn't all muscle I put on either. So
Sure, right, 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 right. Wow, Louisiana was ready to grab another Ohio boy, like they did our boy. Who is that? This plays for LSU.
Joe Burrow,
Yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Ohio boy got a taste of that Louisiana. Next thing you know, that's a
yeah.
wrap.
Took about 1 month for me to call it home.
Wow, that's